Yo, it's David. I'm just a dad. I'm here to help other dads be the best dads ever. My baby's sleeping right now, and I have a tight time window. I need to throw a steak in the sous vide to get it cooking for tonight's dinner. So, my time's a little constricted right now, but I'm trying to crush this one out and get it out there. Um, so, yeah, where do I start, man? Oh my gosh. 70% of men are overweight, and 30% of that number, that figure, is obese. Um, that's a huge number, right? Men are four times more likely to commit suicide than women. 30% of marriages end in their first 10 years. 95% of men don't practice any sort of meditation or mindfulness routine. And look, I'm throwing all these numbers out there because they're alarming, but they paint the picture of the landscape of men today. These numbers should be frightening because men make up the fabric of our society. Men should be valued for what they bring to the table, for how they influence the next generation. These numbers reflect the current situation that dads and soon to be dads find themselves in. Look, I want to help you guys be the best dads ever. And if you want to be the best dad ever, you have to work on these four things. And these four things are physical health, addiction, mental health, and relationships. Physical health is kind of like the baseline benchmark, right? The easy one to tackle because you can see it with your own eyes. You can see physically if you're healthy or not. And it's hard to lie about that because it's a reflection of who you are, your habits, your environment, your mindset. It's a reflection of who you are. Um, you can't lie. You can't lie about your physical health, right? Like those numbers on a scale, you can't lie about that. Your BMI, you can't lie about that. Your body fat, you can't lie about that. And, as fathers, as soon to be fathers, as dads, right? You got to be healthy. You got to be full of life, full of vigor, full of energy. You got to be a strong role model for your kids. You got to live a long and healthy and bountiful life so that you can enjoy each and every single moment and create more moments. Create a reality where your kids are successful and happy and healthy. It's a shame because we live in an age where technology and health is so advanced, yet our population is so unhealthy. And if you find yourself in this bucket, it's a lifelong journey, health. Start now rather than later, right? Start tracking your weight. Understand what your BMI is. Understand what your body fat is. And find different things you want to tackle. If it's weight loss, right? Start tracking that. Start seeing, the inputs that create the output. If it's VO2 max, start calculating that. Start finding ways to improve that figure, right? We'll get into different videos where we dive deeper into health and, all the different benchmarks, the different health markers there are. And, I'm using obesity and overweight statistics as a benchmark, and they're very surface level, but it's a good indication of, today's landscape. Pillar number 2 was addictions. Us men, we have it easy. Your wife carried a lot of the burden in her pregnancy journey. We don't have to go through all those physical changes. But most importantly, we don't go through those lifestyle changes like the women, like our partners. I'm positive your wife gave up coffee, gave up drinking alcohol, right? Your wife gave up eating raw fish and sushi, and she went through a lot. She went through a lot physically and mentally to carry this baby to term. And a lot of these addictions that, she gave up, she did it for the betterment of the baby. And it's a good time to reflect on your own addictions. As men, I'm sure we have a lot of vices, things that we lean on because, in today's age, right, men face a lot of different struggles as seen by those alarming suicide rates, right? If men are 4 times as likely to commit suicide, men fall into different vices and addictions to help subdue it, right? In today's age, men find themselves numbing their problems with alcohol, with recreational drugs, right? And as you transcend into this new journey of being a parent, you have to really take inventory of the vices and addictions that you have so that you can overcome it. You have to be honest with yourself. You're not going to be a good parent if you're addicted to alcohol, if you're addicted to food, if you're addicted to weed. You're not going to be a good parent if you're addicted to social media and you're always scrolling Instagram or Twitter. As a parent, you're not going to have time to go to happy hour every weeknight with your coworkers, your friends, have a benchmark and understand whether they're a net positive or a net negative in your life and really start working on that. Pillar number 3 was relationships. We talked about that divorce rate statistic, and that's just a number and figure that encapsulates relationships between men and women. It's an alarming figure, but why is that? What is the root cause of that? And it's easy to point fingers, whether there's too many options because dating apps and, pornography or whatever it may be. But I think the biggest root cause and, being able to take accountability of it gives you the most power. Men who don't love themselves will never have strong relationships. So when I talk about relationships, it encapsulates a relationship with your partner, your wife, your family, your parents, your community, but it starts with a relationship with yourself. Just like the Bible scripture, love thy neighbor as thyself. We oftentimes forget about loving yourself first before your neighbor. Because when you love yourself, you're working on your physical health, you're working on your mental health, you're working on self-improvement. And when you do all these things, your relationships will be healthy. And I'm not saying all the relationships are going to be rosy and cheery and positive and great, but truth will unveil itself. And your relationships, whether they need to be eliminated, whether they need to be fixed, whether they need to be healed, those truths will come to fruition. So as long as you love yourself and you truly know who you are as a person. So love yourself. Work on the relationship with yourself first. Because you can't love your partner. You can't love your parents. You can't love your family. You can't love your community if you don't truly love who you are yourself. And pillar number 4 that every man, every dad should work on is their mental health. 95% of men don't have a meditation practice. I think it's critical. I think the mind is the most powerful instrument that we have at our disposal. I think it's the most neglected part of our life. If 70% of men are unhealthy physically, that number is greater mentally. And that's only because we don't take the time to work on it. 95% of men don't have a meditation practice routine, a visualization routine, some sort of mindset routine, some sort of prayer, some sort of affirmation routine. It's these practices that ground us, that allow us to be present, to allow us to be adaptable in life, that allow us to frame what a successful day looks like and what a stressful day looks like so that we can navigate it more calmly, more even keel, rather than reacting to highs and lows. It is these qualities that make men the rock in their family. We often get ready for a party when we go out. But life is that party, and every single day is a new occasion. How do we prepare ourselves for it? And that preparation is mindfulness. It is meditation. It is visualization. It optimizes our mind, the most instrumental tool that we have at our disposal, right? It optimizes it. It gives it a routine. It gives it some sort of practice so that we can use it and create our own reality, a better reality, a more conscious reality. We are in control of how our day plays out, of the things that happen to us, of the way we perceive our life. But we have to train our mind daily to stay on top of that. Being a parent is stressful. Being a parent is a lot of work, a lot of responsibilities. Being a good parent requires even more. But to be the best version of yourself, you have to gain a mental edge daily. You have to be present with your kids. You have to be calm and collected. You have to be loving, caring, and kind. But that only happens when your mind is in a good state. And when your mind is in a good state, you're loving yourself, you're loving your partner, you're loving your neighbors. When your mind is in a good state, you're less stressed. And when you're less stressed, you're physically more healthy, your cortisol levels are lower. Your reality is different. And then your physical self starts reflecting that. And I'm going to dive so much deeper into this mind, this beautiful mind that we possess. But, for today, I'm going to keep it short. Just covering the 4 things that every dad needs to work on. Every soon-to-be dad, every current dad. It all falls down on us. Everything is in our hands. We have to take responsibility of everything so that we can be the best, not only for ourselves, but for our family, for our partners, for our wife, for our community, for our kids. We have a hand in influencing the next generation directly. Don't let that responsibility and that moment slip us by.